Hello crazy people, this is Nick Teller again. This actually is going to be the first lesson in basically, I'm going to call it band management, band advice. The first thing that we're going to talk about on this lesson is copyright. Um, I'm assuming that your band has a couple songs, you guys are ready to hit the road, play some shows. First thing that you're going to have to actually do is copyright your music. For multiple reasons. One, it protects your music from anybody who happens to hear your songs and maybe you know, get to a recording studio before you or just record it. You also need it to actually try to patent it, or not patent it, but try to get some signed labels. A lot of labels will automatically, say for instance you got a contract, they're already going to copyright your stuff. But if you want your stuff to actually be played on radios, a lot of times, especially syndicated radios, they want to make sure it's registered. And not only, you need a copyright to actually prove that it's yours to get it registered. Um, First thing I want to say is to actually dismiss this whole myth. I've heard it from so many people that you can actually take a recording, like a home recording, take it on a CDR, put it in an envelope, and mail it to yourself, and then never open that envelope. So in case this was ever questioned in court, you can bring an unopened certified U.S. postage envelope to court and kind of open it up there, and it would show that it's basically dated by the United States. I've heard that's an actual poor man's copyright. I just wouldn't trust that. It's gonna be rare that you actually go to court for copyrights, but at the same time, I just wouldn't. I would not trust that. Copyright's really easy to do. It's not that expensive. I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks. I'm looking at a form right now, and when you go to copyright your songs or song, uh, you're going to have to fill out this form and actually show it or mail it to Congress, and they have a whole library of copyrights which they keep stored, and they'll give you a number back in case you ever have to bring it back for reference. I think it's like a 2-page sheet, pretty, you know, pretty straightforward. So we're going to go through it. I'm going to kind of talk to you about this. So, the type of copyright that you're going to look for, because there's about 5 different kinds. There's literal, visual art, performing art, sound recordings, and then one more. The ones that you're going to have to do is sound recordings, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're copying an actual, recording of your sound. So it looks like line 1 is title of this work. This would be, in case it was just one song, it'd be the title of the song. If it was an album, then it would be the album cover, or the album name. A trick for this, and I've never actually just copyrighted song for song, because every time you do this copyright, I think it's about $35. And if you have like 10 songs, you're talking about $350. Why people do one songs, I can only imagine that it's actually people who write songs for a living. Maybe they write one every 6 months to 8 months, and they just don't have enough collected. They just want to shoot it out there as soon as they write it. Maybe it's a remix. Maybe it's something that they just want to copyright. But as a rock band, more than likely you're going to try to send in an entire album or an EP, which means 5 or 6 songs. You can send an entire album to the copyright library for just the price of $35. It's a collective work. And what that does is it copyrights anything on that collective work, which meaning all the songs. So every time I've actually copyrighted an album or an EP, I've sent the entire thing. And that's okay, and you can do that. So the title of the work, whatever you want, an album in this case. Previous, alternate, or content titles. That's basically, if you happen to have, maybe this is a B-side album, and you've had certain songs on certain, other albums, then that would be for that. Line 2, name of author. This is very important. I'm assuming, if you're watching this video, that you are the leader of the band. And in that case, one thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to actually realize that this is pretty serious, this copyright business. Because in case you have a hit song on this album and you want to give everybody credit, because a lot of people are like, I want credit for this, I want credit for this. if you're in a band where everybody writes, then you can do that. If you put down everybody's name, and there's 4 or 5 members, and this is locked into copyright, say for instance that hit song makes it big, you guys are starting to get actual, following, you guys are getting noticed for this one song. If one of the members leaves the band or gets kicked out, they can legally say that you cannot perform that song without them because they are on the copyright. They own part of that song or that collective work, that album with the song on it. So the name of the author, I understand that you want to, give everybody their due and write down everybody's name. I've done that before. It's very scary because if anything changes in the lineup, you can't play anything off that legality reasons. For name of author, I usually put the band, and I suggest that you do too, because when you put in your band, say for instance our band name was Beyond Our Years. Now I put down Beyond Our Years, and in case any members were to leave or if the lineup changed, we would still be okay, because as long as we kept the band name Beyond Our Years, we would own, whoever stayed in the band owned the rights to that song. It doesn't give credit to anybody, it doesn't, spotlight any of them, that's fine, because, that's what bios and that's what thank you notes on, albums are for and all that good stuff. It looks like date of birth or death. You can put down, when the band was born and, year died, nothing. Nature of authorship. This is basically saying, band. You can put that. Everything else is kind of, if you're a citizen of Africa and stuff like that, if you want to be known, but whatever. It does leave multiple lines, it looks like, for multiple authors. And like I said, you're more than welcome to. If you're in a band where only 1 or 2 people songwrite, they create everything while everyone else is kind of like playing their parts, then you can do that. But just know that if you're not the songwriter and they leave and you're wanting to continue with this band, you're going to have to change your name or just never play that song to actually do that. Because if you guys were making money and you guys were doing big, they can actually grab a lawyer and take you to court. Year in which, line 3, year in which creation of this work has completed. That would be this, this would actually be the date that you guys finished it, and then it says part B of it is date and nation of first publication. That was in case you guys did a redo of somebody, which that's a whole ugly business because you're gonna have to pay royalties every time you play that. If you do a cover of another person's song. Copyright claimants. This is basically the address where it says where they should actually mail this to. So that's about it. This is previous registration. If this is your 2nd or 3rd album, you can say yes, this is the band, we're continuing to be under this file for line 5. They'll put that in the same group instead of having you guys, different albums spread all over the place. Line 6, pre-existing material. This is basically, they want to know exactly what, if this has ever been done. Material added to this work. If you wanted to do line 6 and say for instance you had an album but you were doing songs at a time, you can actually say, okay, those 3 songs that I made 6 months back, it was called this, that artwork or that piece of work, add this to this, and they'll do that for you. Deposit account. If the registration fee is to be charged to a deposit account, establish the Copyright Office, give name and number of account. That's in case you want to actually pay out of your bank account. Correspondence, give name of address to the correspondence above the application should be sent. Actually, I lied. 7, part B, is actually all your information that this is where it's going to be mailed to. It's your street address, the name of the person, area code and telephone number, fax number, and email. The certification is basically saying I hereby certify that I am the, you can say the author, other copyright claimant, this is owner of exclusive rights. Basically I would just put author, and basically if you fill out all that, this is Beyond Our Years, and the only thing different is my name to be sent to at my mailing address. You can even put the band's name if you live by yourself, you're not worried about other people grabbing your mail. This is a handwritten signature. Certificate will be mailed in window envelope to this address. Once again, you repeat that. Actually, I lied. Line 7, Part B is the address, but this is in case you took part of Part A. That's the account number. So they actually show you a bill where they charged you. Line 9 is basically the one where you're saying, this is where you need to be sent to, and like I said, just write your own name or the band name. Copyright library, if you think that you're going to send a bunch of songs, and even though you're the name, even though you're putting the author as the band, it's not shady. They get so many actual applications that they don't really care, as long as they get their money, it's just a couple sounds on CD. What you should do is you should make, typically if you go to a studio, they're going to give you a golden copy, that's those CDs, that are gold, they're better quality. If you make this at your house, just make a CDR, try to make it the best quality that you can where everything's clear. Put in a real nice, they have those envelopes now at the U.S. Post Office that are, pre-packaged, like $5, you can fit anything in there. This form, your CD, and a check for however much it is. You might actually have to look and see, because I don't see on here anywhere where the fee is, but I'm sure it's on here. And if you look up on this website, I'm going to actually include this form into the actual description below this video. So if you want to click on this is actually a PDF. You can print it off. It's about 4 pages. The first 2 pages are actually in-depth, very legal description of every part. But that's about it for copyrights. Is copyright important? It is. If you're really serious about this band, you should definitely copyright your music, because later down the road, if you're really serious about these songs and you feel like they're going to carry you far, you're going to have to own ownership of them. With that being said, this takes a while, especially by mail. I remember putting in my application for an album I made in July. I didn't get the copyrights until February or March. So I mean, it takes about 6 or 7 months. Just know, if you see your check be deposit, and you write out to wherever, I think it's like the Copyright Congress Library or whatever you write it to, they're going to tell you. Just know that it's in there. It just takes a while for you to actually get the receipt. Hold on to the receipt in a very safe place, as you do for your other documents. While we're on the subject about copyrights, I will tell you that I know that when you and your bandmates go to music shops, be very careful. I know when you guys are trying out new gear and you guys are playing around, you may be with your singer, you may be the only one, or with a couple bandmates, and you guys will say, oh yeah, let's play this song. You guys will play that on new gear, and you guys will sound, great and all that, and you guys are just testing out. Be very careful when you play out in public, especially if this stuff isn't copyrighted, because musicians are really good at just hearing stuff by ear and then reproducing it. What I mean by that is, say for instance you have a very catchy song. Let's just throw it out there. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. Say for instance you write a song as big as Wasteland from 10 Years, and say for instance it's not copyrighted yet. So you guys are playing it a couple times, there happens to be another band that hears it, they can be playing it at a show, they can videotape it, which that's a form of copyrights, but it can be proven if you were to take them to court that they were playing, unless you have actual footage of an earlier date. They can go and copyright, go quickly record the song and copyright it. People can steal other people's music. Does it happen often? No, it doesn't really. I mean, most of the time, rock stars and rock bands are pretty cocky where they think their songs are the best. But it can happen. And you got to be careful, especially if you're wanting this to be your livelihood and this is what this is your horse that you're betting on. So, be very careful when you play at music shops. Try to just keep it within band rehearsal space. I know you guys want to try out new gear and you want to hear what it sounds like with your songs, but just be very careful. Don't play full songs, don't sing, don't show the actual full effect, because somebody can actually grab that. So that's about it for copyrights. If you guys have any questions, just comment. I'll answer them the best I can. This is very, very important. This should be the first step after you songwrite and after you actually make an EP. So we're going to go over some other stuff about what I think you should do after you move to the band, but this is the actual first step after you make the songs. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys later.